before, just a quick housekeeping note. Throughout the webinar, please feel free to submit your questions using the chat. We'll address as many of them as possible during the Q&A session at the end. First, it is my pleasure to invite the Vice President of PMI Greece chapter, George Markopoulos, to share a few opening words.
Thanks, Eileen. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of PMI Greece, it's my great pleasure to welcome you tonight on tonight's joint webinar with PMI Türkiye. Firstly, I would like to warmly thank our colleagues from PMI Türkiye for this excellent collaboration, and especially Göktürk, Eileen, Yiğit, Haydar, Koray, and the wider organizing teams from both chapters. This event is a strong example of what PMI chapters can achieve when they work together across borders with a shared purpose and a common professional language. Tonight's topic is both timely and essential. Sustainability is no longer a separate initiative, a reporting obligation, or simply a compliance requirement. It is becoming a core leadership responsibility and increasingly a key factor in how we define project success. As project professionals, we are in a unique position. We are not only responsible for delivering outputs on time, on budget, and within scope, we also influence decisions, trade-offs, stakeholders, resources, risks, benefits, and long-term outcomes. In that sense, sustainability is directly connected to how we manage value, not only financial value, but also environmental and social. This evening, we will explore sustainability from three complementary perspectives. First, the project leadership perspective with Lucila. Then, the business model and circular economy perspective with Alexis. And finally, the societal impact and sustainable development perspective with Ahmed. Together, these perspectives show that sustainability is not just about reducing harm, it is about creating lasting value. As far as PMI Greece, this event is also part of our broader ambition to bring sustainability closer to the project management profession, to our members, and to the organizations and communities we serve. So, I invite you all to participate actively, reflect on your own projects, and consider one central question: what remains after the project ends? Because ultimately, sustainability is not only about what we deliver, it is about the legacy we leave behind. Thank you very much, and I wish everyone an inspiring and valuable webinar.
Thank you very much, George. And now I would like to invite the President of PMI Turkey chapter, Abdullah Göktuğ Aydın, to share his remarks.
Give me 1 second, please. I think Göktuğ is here, but 1 second, 1 second.
It should be done now.
Is it okay, Göktuğ?
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome again.
Yes, of course. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Abdullah Göktuğ Aydın, and I am the president of PMI Turkey. Also, PMI is not only organization for professional development. It is also a community that brings professionals together to learn from each other, share experience, and build strong friendships. And during Leadership Institute meeting in Lisbon, we had the chance to connect with many different chapters. One of our strongest connections was with the Greece chapter. I would like to thank George and all of friends from Greece, and also all our volunteers from Turkey, for believing in this collaboration and making it happen. Today we are here because two friendly countries came together for create something valuable. I believe this project will create real value also. Today, sustainability experts will share their knowledge and inspire all of us. And I believe that our two chapters will continue creating value together. Um, this collaboration is a great example of more mindset from PMI. I think, for example, expand perspective, because together we can create more value. I want to say this is just the beginning. Thank you and enjoy events.
Thank you very much, Göktuğ. For many years, sustainability was often viewed primarily through the lens of compliance, reporting, or environmental performance. Today, however, organizations are increasingly recognizing that sustainability is also a driver of innovation, resilience, competitiveness, and long-term value creation. At the same time, project professionals are being asked to deliver more than scope, schedule, and budget. They're expected to create outcomes that generate lasting value for organizations, communities, and society. That is why today's webinar brings together three complementary perspectives: project leadership, business innovation, and societal impact. Our speakers will explore sustainability through these three lenses: how project leaders can integrate sustainability into decision-making and project delivery, how innovative business models can transform sustainability into competitive advantage and resilience, and how projects and programs can create lasting value for people, communities, and local economies. We are privileged to have three distinguished speakers who will help us explore how sustainability creates value through projects, business models, and long-term development outcomes. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Lucila Dotto. There could hardly be a more fitting keynote speaker to open today's discussion. Lucila, thank you very much for joining us today. We truly appreciate your time and your willingness to share your global perspective with PMI Greece and PMI Turkey communities. Lucila serves as the Global Head of Sustainability at PMI and is also the Executive Director of the PMI GPM joint venture, where she helps advance sustainability across the global project management profession. An organizational psychologist with more than 15 years of international experience, Lucila has built her career at the intersection of leadership, culture transformation, organizational change, and sustainable performance. She has worked with organizations across Europe and Latin America, helping leaders translate strategy into meaningful organizational and societal impact. Prior to PMI, Lucila held leadership and consulting roles at KPMG, where she contributed to large-scale transformation initiatives and supported the firm's global purpose and culture reinvigoration journey across 145 countries. What makes Lucila's perspective particularly valuable is her ability to connect sustainability, leadership, and organizational transformation, helping project professionals understand not only what sustainability means, but how it can be embedded into decision-making, culture, and long-term value creation. Today, she will share why sustainability is no longer a preferable consideration, but a strategic imperative for project leaders. It is now my great pleasure to hand over to Lucila. Lucila, the stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eileen, for the warm introduction, and thank you so much to the PMI Turkey and PMI Greece communities. It's great cross-collaboration, inter-chapter collaboration. I think you are doing a fantastic job as sustainability ambassador, connecting everyone in this critical topic for the profession. So as Eileen mentioned, last year, PMI entered in a joint venture with Green Project Management that has been working for 17 years in the sustainability and project management space. And as part of this joint venture, we brought a lot of learning resources, material, standards to really equip our community, because as we know, PMI is about learning, connecting, and making an impact. So sustainability is at the heart of achieving our purpose. And I'm going to share some of the resources that we have from a learning point of view, but also the work that the community is doing and how we can make an impact in every project. As you can see behind me, the positioning of PMI and sustainability is that we can elevate every project. Every project can be done in a sustainable way. And that's what I'm going to be presenting today. But let's be honest, sustainability has never had more executive attention as it has today. So last year, I had the pleasure to be in New York for the United Nations Global Compact. That is where many organizations connect in the purpose of elevating the world. And among 2,000 CEOs, 99% expressed that they want to maintain or expand their sustainability commitments. And that's a research that every year the United Nations Global Compact conducts, that is called the CEO report. They did it together with Accenture, and 99%, almost every CEO of the most prestigious organizations worldwide said sustainability is a key priority for our business. However, only half of them feel confident sharing what they are doing in terms of sustainability. So sustainability, the why is clear, but the how is missing. We also know that organizations are going beyond what traditional people think that is sustainability. If you ask many people on the street, they will think sustainability is only about the planet dimension. However, we see that organizations are seeing sustainability as a value creation opportunity, that it's connected to profit, it's connected to innovation, it's connected to growth, it's connected to stakeholder management. So they see sustainability as a key strategic priority connected to the business value that they are seeing. And of course, we are in Europe, and we see that in Europe, there are a lot of reporting and regulations that organizations need to do. So sustainability has moved beyond the nice things to do to really having an executive attention. And most organizations have a sustainability strategy, but they fail in the delivery, in the implementation. And that's where project professionals can really step up to really work shoulder to shoulder with the business to bring that strategy to life. So we know that projects are the ones that turn intentions into execution, the ones that translate strategies in getting things done. So project management is ultimately the operating system of the sustainable transformation. As I said, sustainability in project management is to elevate every project and to help organizations to close that gap between the ambition, the strategy, and the execution, the delivery system. A very big insight is from our thought leadership research. PMI continuously research about the profession, about how we can innovate in the profession. And in 2024, we conducted the most comprehensive research at that time that was called the PMI Project Success Research in 2024. And the key insight about the Project Success Report 2024 was what is a successful project and putting value at the center of a successful project. So as project professionals, we need to move beyond budget, scope, and schedule. Yes, they are important, but the key definition of project success is connected to value. And then we identify that the things that predict the satisfaction of a project are more outcome focused rather than budget, scope, and schedule. And among those predictors of satisfaction, sustainability perform as the top. So sustainability is the higher predictor of project success. So it's not only the good thing to do, but it's a performance driver. And that was insights from 2024. Last year, 2025, we continued the research, and as you can see on screen, we identify the multidimensional aspect of sustainability. So sustainability is about the environment, yes, for sure, but it's also about social value, and it's also about the economic resilience. So people, planet, and prosperity. And as you can see on the right side of the slide, if we don't have sustainability as part of our projects, the chances to have satisfactory projects are 29. If we include at least one sustainability team, people, planet, prosperity, the chances grow to 49. But if we include the multidimensional aspect of sustainability, people, planet, and prosperity, that satisfaction score increased to 72. So, insight from 2024, sustainability is the #1 predictor of project success. Insight from 2025, we need to consider our projects addressing the multidimensional aspect of sustainability. So sustainability shouldn't be something that we add to the project. It should be the knowledge area, the mindset on how we plan our projects, how we execute our projects, a decision compass, a compass for decision making in our projects, and then how we close the project and how we communicate the impact in business value. So the more we connect sustainability with business value, we are stepping up as project leaders to work shoulder to shoulder to help organizations to bring sustainability strategy to life. As I said at the very beginning, key organizations have a sustainability strategy. They need the delivery system that brings that sustainability to life. So it's a huge opportunity for the profession to be that translating mechanism that brings actionability and practicality to the sustainability transformation. This year, we continued the research. So on screen, I'm going to share research from 2026. The report is in our PMI website. It's called Executing the Sustainability Strategy When Ambition Meets Reality. And we identify two main gaps. One is about confidence. So we address that 85% of executives trust and have confidence in the sustainability strategy. However, when we go to the PMO level, only 43% of the PMO leaders share that confidence. So there is a gap of 42 points in the confidence between the executive level and the people that needs to operationalize the sustainability strategy. And then we also identify an integration gap. So only 41% of organizations report that sustainability is fully integrated across projects and functions. So we have also that integration gap between ambition and execution. So ultimately, sustainability has become a strategy because most organizations have it without a system, without a delivery system that translates that ambition into execution. And that's a unique opportunity for project professionals to be the people that translate that ambition into action. But we know that sustainability's challenge these days is not about the why. Most organizations have a sustainability strategy, but it's about the how, about that gap between ambition and execution. And we see the opportunity for project professionals to be the leaders in closing that gap. But unfortunately, today, only 20% of project professionals are extremely confident in executing those sustainability targets. So only 1 every 5 project professionals feels that they have the skills, the resources, the ability to be executing the sustainability strategy. That's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity because in PMI now, as part of our joint venture with GPM, we have the tools, the resources, the methodology, and even a unique certification for project professionals to have that confidence, to have that skills, to have those resources, and to have the opportunity to differentiate themselves in the market because organizations need people that helps close that gap. But there is no confidence because there are not tools and resources, and now we have it. So this is a good opportunity to step up and to be identifying how we can support your development journey. So these days, as I said at the very beginning, sustainability has evolved so much, and it's not only about the planet. It's people, planet, prosperity. It's about business. It's about resiliency. It's how we prepare organizations, how we prepare projects for the long term, how we are thinking about value in a long-term perspective connected to the impact on people, on planet, and prosperity. So what has changed these days? That organizations are clear that sustainability matters, are regulated, are financed, and are evaluated. So sustainability is about business resilience. But we know that small project teams weren't built to deliver on these dimensions. So there is a gap, and then we have the material, the resources, the ecosystem to help project professionals to close that gap. So before I go into the resources that we have for you, I want to share more insights about our recent research that we released on the 5th of June about sustainability and what are the 6 conditions that need to be present for sustainability to be impactful and to be real. So the first one is, as project professionals, we need to manage the stakeholder perceptions, and we need to communicate sustainability in a way that showcases the value, that the value of sustainability is explicit and it's also measurable in business terms. So sustainability should move beyond the nice thing to do to be a business driver of resilience, of innovation, of business growth. And it's also the #1 predictor of project success. So in order to have successful projects, we need to approach projects in a sustainable way. It's a must. The second one is we need to have the authority, we need to step up, we need to have the ownership to translate in our decisions sustainability. We see that sometimes when we have to make trade-offs, sustainability can be deprioritized. So as project professionals, we need to own this space and have the authority to use sustainability as a compass for decision-making on how we plan and execute our projects. The third one is our key role as translators. Project professionals are the ones that can translate the sustainability strategy into the delivery, but also the delivery back to the strategy. As part of our resources in PMI, we equip project professionals to bring all the project data as part of the overarching sustainability strategy of the organization, to connect the project to the overall vision. And we need to constantly reassess, but make sure that we hold the line when delivery pressure mounts, because we are the guardians, we are the stewards of project decisions. So we need to hold that line. We also need to help our stakeholders expand their perspective, to understand that successful projects are not only the ones that meet scope, budget, and schedule, but it's so much more, and it's putting value for people, for planet, and perspective in the long run at the center. We know that as part of our research, we identified that there are many people that are skeptical in terms of sustainability. So it's very, very important that we help them to understand how this connects to actions and what is that value that we are creating. And then we're all clear that sustainability is about the long term. So as part of our research, we identified that 79% of the people that we assess consider that sustainability prepare organizations and projects for the long term. However, the challenge is how we make it practical and action-oriented today, how we include it in the governance, how we include it in the process, so it doesn't get deprioritized. So these are the 6 conditions that are relevant for us as project professionals to be stewards of the sustainability transformation. If you want to explore further, we have the report in pmi.org/learning sustainability. But in the end, if we want to start wrapping up, sustainability is about lasting change, it's about long-term value, and it's about evolving our mindsets beyond, do we need to focus in sustainability, to really identify that this is a priority, it's a market need, it's organizational need, and we need to switch the conversation to how are we going to bring this to life. We know that these matter. Now it's time to bring actionability to everything that we do, so we approach our projects in a sustainable way. And then this is consistent with, for example, our methodology. At the heart of all our tools and resources, we have the P5 standard. P5 stands for the three P's of sustainability: people, planet, prosperity. And because it's for project professionals, it's process and products that completes the P5. And it's the framework that brings actionability and accountability to sustainability. As you can see on slide, there are a lot of elements. This reminds me to the periodic table of elements when we were studying in secondary school. But the thing is, we are addressing sustainability in different ways. So you have there a lot of elements. So for example, sustainable procurement, anti-corruption, green claims and greenwashing for the people dimension, for the planet dimension, local procurement, digital communication. So there are a lot of elements that helps bring that actionability to life. And if you combine all the elements, it gives you up to 260 different ways to assess and to manage risk across your projects, your programs, and your portfolio. And the other side is that you can bring that innovation lenses with something that is very action-oriented in the way that you define your project, design your project, execute, and then measure your projects. And here on our page is our PMI and GPM ecosystem. So as I said, since last year, we have been working to reinvigorate our system and to equip our community with the tools and the resources to be really business leaders and help organizations to close that gap between sustainability strategy and sustainability delivery. For the first time, sustainability has been part of the PMBOK in the 8th edition that was released last year at the Global Summit in North America. I mentioned the P5 standard that are the standards in sustainability in project management. Joel Carboni, that was the creator, the author, was also involved in the design of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So it's a methodology that is consistent with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Then we have practice guide, competence standard, a great tool that is the project sustainability reporting guide. So how we report the impact of our projects in alignment with the reporting needs of our organizations. And then we are releasing in July the responsible project sponsorship to equip our sponsors to understand the value of project management in the sustainable transformation. Then we continue expanding our thought leadership report. As I mentioned, and today I share insights with you from the latest June 5th executing sustainability strategy, but also in 2025, we researched about sustainability. 2024 mentioned that sustainability is the #1 predictor of project success. And in 2025, we saw the satisfaction connected to considering the multidimensional aspect of sustainability: people, planet, and prosperity. We also have a unique certification, the latest certification, the newest certification of PMI, CSPP, Certified Sustainable Project Professional. That is an evolution of a previous certification that was called GPMB. And this certification has two tracks. One is the standard certification, and then we have a special path for certified project professionals. So for example, 87% of the certification holders are PMPs because it's a great complement to the PMP to expand that system thinking perspective and considering that multidimensional aspect of people, planet, and prosperity. And then we will have the PMI awards, the Project of the Year award. We have sustainability, and that is connection to the three dimensions: people, planet, and prosperity. And then we have the category for social impact. And all this is supported by our global network of sustainability ambassadors. Eileen is one, and she has been fantastically supporting this event. So thank you, Eileen, for everything that you are doing. And as we know, the beauty of PMI is the power of the community. So we want the community to help expand awareness that sustainability is so much beyond the planet dimension, that sustainability is about business value, it's about resiliency, it's about having stronger projects, being a better project professional, because we are thinking in that holistic aspect of the project: people, planet, and prosperity, and long term. So key insights: sustainability, high predictor of project success; sustainability connected to business value; the gap between ambition and execution and the role of project professionals to step up and be helping organizations translate that strategy into the delivery. There are a lot of opportunities. This is just a start. Sustainability is going to stay. The regulations are increasing. It's becoming more and more important. If we're not doing this, we're missing out. And the good thing is there is a lot of resources and things that we can do right now because they are free for our PMI members. All these assets are free for PMI members. And then, of course, if you want to get certified, you can take the CSPP either in the standard format or the short track if you're already certified. So thank you so much for having me. And let's continue with the rest of the event, no?
Thank you very much, Lucila, for sharing the global PMI perspective and for highlighting the strategic role project leaders play in creating sustainable outcomes. And just a reminding issue for everybody, please, if you have any questions, you can write in the chat area. And we will now move from the project leadership perspective to the business perspective. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Alex Pantsiaros. Alex is a chemical engineer, entrepreneur, and circular economy innovator who has dedicated his career to transforming waste into opportunity. He is the CEO and co-founder of CoffeeCo Upcycle, a company that collects spent coffee grounds and converts them into valuable products, demonstrating that sustainability and profitability can go hand in hand. Beyond his work in circular economy, Alex is actively involved in education, innovation, and social impact initiatives. His work is driven by a simple but powerful belief. If we get the beginning right through education and refuse to waste the end through circularity, we can create meaningful and lasting change. Today, Alex will share how sustainability can become a source of innovation, resilience, and competitive advantage when it is embedded into the core business model. If Lucila showed us why sustainability matters for project leaders, Alex will demonstrate how it can become a source of business value. It is now my great pleasure to hand over to Alex. Alex, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Eileen. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for the PMI Greece and PMI Turkey team for this invitation. First of all, I would like to verify that you all see my presentation. It's okay? Perfect. So what I want you to show you today is how a circular economy isn't a sustainability checkbox. It's an operating model that drives profitability, resilience, and community impact at the same time. Waste, it's a structural failure measured in billions of tons. The world produced 2.5 billion tons of municipal solid waste in 2022, a level where we weren't supposed to reach until 2030. We already 8 years ahead of the wrong schedule. On a business as usual path that climbs to 3.8 billion tons by 2050, a 50% increase. Managing it already cost over $2,000 billion a year. And roughly a third of all food we produce is lost or wasted every year. Here is a line I want you to hold on to. Waste is a material that someone manufactured, paid, and paid again to throw away. This is the largest mispriced inventory on earth. So why we do this at this way? Waste isn't an accident. It's a logical output of how we design manufacturing. For over 150 years, industrial design optimized two things. Product performance is how we make as good as possible the products, but also unit cost, how to make the product as cheap as possible. But it never optimized for 100% material utilization. The KPI was always yield against the final product. Everything outside the sellable product was got a label as a scrap, and this is a huge problem. So we don't have a waste problem itself because people are careless. We have one because we engineer our factories to maximize the product and ignore everything else around raw materials. And that's matter because waste is a design decision, and design can redesign and designer can redesign again. Now, I want you to see why this is no longer optional. On the one side, virgin raw materials get scarcer and more expensive every year. On the other side, disposal get more regulated and more expensive, hitting toward $426 billion a year by 2015. This will be very expensive to produce more and more waste year over year. More of the manufacturer companies cannot absorb both ends, so the remaining lever is yield by kilo. What I would like to propose here is that the fundamental shift of production and manufacturing I want to plant into your mind is that we have to stop measuring profit per unit and start changing the perspective, measuring profit per kilo of raw material in the production processes. The next decade of manufacturing will be one from the companies that will measure profit per kilogram of raw material and not profit per product. Whoever extracts 100% value from the raw material will outperform whoever still discards 1 or 2/3 of the raw material input the production processes. And this is where exactly leads us to reframe the linear into circular perspective in manufacturing. Waste is a pricing error. The molecules never lost their value. The business model just stopped looking the real value of molecules. Look at the difference between the linear and circular manufacturing. The linear manufacturing byproduct is a disposal cost. On the other hand, for the circular one, it's a feedstock with negative cost. The linear manufacturing buys raw material on a volatile commodity markets, and on the other hand, the circular one generates in-house raw material every single shift. For the linear model, regulation is rising risk. For the circular model, it's a hedge and a tailwind. And the value, the linear model captures it once, but the circular model captures it again and again in cycles. Same molecules, completely different economics. So how do you actually do it? You don't recycle a byproduct. You develop a whole new product line using the old process of new product development in 5 stages. Discovery, spec your own waste, measure the volume, measure the consistency, and understand the composition of any type of stream of your waste in your process, but also in the final product you deliver to the consumer. Ideation, one way, start from developing and redesigning the process from one waste stream usually can give you 3 or 4 different product lines. You choose your portfolio of products. Development, the chemistry, the certification, and the compliance is a simply straight line process everyone can use with the same principles of developing new product lines. Validation, you pilot with a real buyer and a real product developing to one specific client, not a lab test, but a real customer. And the scale, you build the reverse logistics with your waste stream, become a supply partner. And here is the part that most people get surprised. The bottleneck in circular economy and the whole process is not about the science and the chemistry. It's the orchestration, which is exactly why this is a project leadership problem, the kind of problem most of you people try to solve every day. And let me be clear. You don't need to care about the planet to make sense in all of this circular economy business model. There are 3 advantages based on business exactly logic. Profitability. Most of the time, circular economy uses feedstock that had negative cost, meaning that you have higher profit margin per product line. Resilience. Internally generated material is the one supply chain nobody can disrupt or inflate. While the chart on the right shows that today 30% of waste is still uncollected. And innovation, your competitor have to build a brand new supply chain, while if you apply circular economy practices, you already own one. This is more core messages. Sustainability create competitive advantages when embedded in existing business models. And here it's where the real opportunity comes. A new regulation has turned circular economy into a market mandate. The EU Packaging and Packaging Waste Regulation 2025/40, entered into force in February 2025 and applies from 12th of August 2026, weeks from now. Four things make this regulation very powerful and unique opportunity today. First, it's a regulation, not a directive. That means that all of EU members have to apply and start forcing to the market. Second, it's guaranteed demand by law. Recyclable content and recyclable material are mandated. Third, it required all packaging to be recyclable by 2030 and explicitly aims to cut use of virgin raw material, not just plastic. It's applied to the whole supply chain. And fourth, it penalizes the linear models. So it's enforcing circular economy models. Non-compliance means that big players and small companies will lose market access. PPWR is the largest guaranteed demand signal for circular material Europe has ever created until today. And now you will ask me how I can be so confident speaking about these models and how it's applied in circular economy. We have applied circular economy fundamentals at Cofico since day one. Our raw material is spent coffee ground, billions of kilos wasted globally every year. We collect them from coffee shop building and ships, and we turn them back following new product development pipeline and create new product lines in cosmetic ingredient, bioplastic, and energy. And while we are applying these fundamentals, we have seen three very unique opportunities. Profitability, we have no cost of raw material. Resilience, we have immune the commodity shocks everyone else is fighting over. And we have built a community around partners where they are our suppliers, our customers, and our ambassadors. And I will tell you honestly that the hardest part of developing Cofico was not the chemistry. It was to transform the circular economy logic into orchestrated our partners, suppliers, and customers. So if you would like to move away from this presentation in business perspective, having three main things in your mind, I believe is very important. One thing is that waste is a design decision. We optimize for product cost and never for the full optimization of the raw material. This can be redesigned. There is a cost on redesigning, but the profitability and the upsell is very unique opportunity right now. Second, the metric of the next decade is how to get profit per kilo of raw material input your production process or your manufacturing or your supply chain. And third, start with just one loop. Don't focus to eliminate the full waste streams of your production or for your value chain. Just start from somewhere that you feel confident to develop new product lines, to find one buyer, to find one customer, and understand that the whole circular economy applied to your to each company, each project you are applying today, there is meaningful profit on the end. And at the end of the day, you can go to find some references that can help you apply new practices. And let me leave you with this, that sustainability is not cost you manage. It's a competitive advantage that you have to build and embed it in your business model. Thank you so much for your attention. I would like to answer more questions at the end.
Thank you, Alex, for that inspiring presentation and for demonstrating how circular economy principles can create value for both businesses and communities. We now move to our third and final perspective of today's webinar, societal impact and sustainable development. It is now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Ahmet Çevik. Ahmet is a project and program management professional with experience spanning humanitarian aid, international development, renewable energy, agriculture, and impact investment. Throughout his career, he has worked across the Middle East and Africa, supporting humanitarian and development programs in areas such as health, nutrition, refugee assistance, psychosocial support, and community development. His experience includes collaboration with international NGOs, UN agencies, local authorities, and donor-funded programs in countries including Palestine, Somalia, Sudan, Niger, Chad, Kenya, Tanzania, and Turkey. Ahmet currently serves as a cluster office manager at the Turkish Red Crescent Investment Group, where he contributes to initiatives focused on food security, poverty reduction, energy, sustainable development, and impact investment. What makes Ahmet's perspective particularly valuable is his experience connecting projects and programs with long-term societal outcomes. His work focuses not only on delivering outputs, but on creating sustainable value for people, communities, and local economies. His presentation will explore a fundamental question: what remains after the project ends? It is now my great pleasure to hand over to Ahmet. Ahmet, the stage is yours.
Hi, Aylin. Thank you very much for the very warm invitation and introduction. Thank you so much. And let me share my screen with you. Is it okay? Can you share my screen?
No, not in the presentation mode right now.
All right. Let me. All right. How about now?
No.
All right. So, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be part of this session and to speak alongside Lucila and Alex today. Today, I will not approach.
Ahmet, still in the speaker mode, not in presentation mode.
Sorry. Let's try to do it again. How about now?
This is in the default mode.
Is it okay now?
Yes, okay.
All right, thank you very much. So good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be part of this session and to speak alongside Lucida and Alex. Today, I will not approach sustainability only as a technical reporting topic or as a compliance issue. I would like to approach it from a field and development perspective, as Aylin noted. My main question is very simple. What remains after a project ends? Because in many projects, we focus heavily on what we deliver, a facility, a service, a system, a report, an infrastructure, or a program. But from a sustainability perspective, the deeper question is, does this output continue to create value for people, communities, and local economies after the project team has left? This is the perspective I would like to explore today. We are talking about sustainability because the context around project has changed. Today, the project managers and organizations are operating in a world where resources are under pressure, as you all credit. We see increasing poverty, climate risks, food insecurity, energy access challenges, and shrinking humanitarian and development funding in many parts of the world. These realities are not abstract, of course. They directly affect how projects should be designed, delivered, and measured. In the past, it may have been enough to say we delivered the project on time, within budget, and according to scope, as in the iron triangle. Of course, these are still very important, right? But today, they are not enough. Because when needs are growing and resources are limited, every project must create more than an output. It must create meaningful and lasting value. So for me, sustainability is not only about compliance. It's not only about reporting. It's not only about reducing harm. It's about rethinking project success as in Lucila's presentation, we have also listened to this. So today, it is the issue of rethinking project success and infusing sustainability into the design and every stage of the project management. So it asks us a deeper question. After the project is completed, what remains for people, for communities, for the environment, and for the local economy? I'm gonna try to give you concrete examples in the future of my presentation. So I'd like to clarify my perspective. I'm not approaching this topic as a technical expert on sustainability standards. I'm approaching it as a practitioner who has worked in humanitarian and development contexts and who is now trying to look at those experiences through the lens of sustainability and project management. In my previous roles, I worked on health projects in Africa and Middle East, as Aylin said, including hospital, clinics, maternity services, and primary healthcare activities. More recently, I've also been involved in advisory work in BMZ-supported agroecology project where questions about local ownership, food systems, livelihoods, and sustainability became very visible. So today, I will use these experiences not as perfect case studies or the ideal scenarios, but as reflections from the field so we can all do brainstorming together. Regarding to this, the P5 framework gives us a useful language to ask better questions. For me, P5 is not something I want to present as a technical checklist. I see it as a practical lens. It helps us ask, what does the project really create? Who benefits? What risks are we creating unintentionally? Does the value continue after the project ends? And how can we design projects with people, planet, and prosperity in mind from the beginning? Let me give an example from health projects. In the field, we sometimes receive funding, which is a gracious moment for a project manager receiving a funding in order to open or support a maternity center, a primary healthcare clinic, or a nutrition center. From a traditional project management perspective, the project may be assessed through what we often call the iron triangle: time, cost, and scope. So we may ask, did we open the center within the planned timeline? Did we stay within the budget? Did we deliver the agreed services? And the answers to these questions might make us happy in the previous background. Of course, these are all important indicators. They matter. They show that services were delivered and that immediate needs were addressed. But from a sustainability perspective, this is still incomplete because the deeper questions are different. What happens when the donor funding ends? We face these situations many times. I, as a project and program manager, face this situation many times. And when the fund cuts, there are lots of people who are unemployed at the time. The services are cut. Services stop being delivered. So this is a really critical problem from the people perspective. But when we look at from the sustainability perspective, we ask the other questions. For instance, can the local system continue the service? Has local staff in Africa or in somewhere else, has local staff capacity been strengthened? Is there a business, public, or community model to keep the service alive? So does the project reduce dependency, which is very critical, especially in humanitarian contexts? Does the project reduce dependency, or does it create a service that disappears when the funding cycle ends? This does not mean the original project was wrong. In humanitarian contexts, urgent services are often necessary and life-saving, for sure. There is no doubt about that. But sustainability asks us to go one step further. It asks us not only whether the clinic was opened, but whether the health benefit can continue. I'd like to give you another point to your minds. We are just going through the examples from the field, from the perspective, looking through perspective of sustainability. We will go through a health case, a water well case, and livestock and agricultural case. So we will, I hope these insights will give you some brainstorming of designing, implementing the projects with the mindset of sustainability, because there is a huge difference between just looking to the projects from the iron triangle and from designing projects from the perspective of the sustainability angle. So I hope these three examples from the field will give you good insights in order to brainstorm and see the difference between the previous mindset and the new mindset. So let us now think more specifically about health projects. In humanitarian and development context, we often open or support clinics, hospitals, maternity centers, primary healthcare units, or nutrition centers. I've been through Chad, Niger, and Kenya, and these are sometimes very dangerous trips, because I got malaria in one of them and I was almost dying. So, but it was always lovely to serve in all these areas. So we often open or support clinics, hospitals, units, or nutrition centers. From a traditional project management perspective, this can look like a successful project. This clinic was opened, the hospital department became operational, doctors, nurses, and midwives were recruited, medicines and equipment were supplied, patients were treated, targets were achieved. These are all very important achievements. In many contexts, these services are life-saving for sure. But again, the sustainability question is deeper. What happens when the donor funding ends? Can patients in the very remote areas of Africa or in the war-affected areas, what happens when the donor funding ends? Can patients still access the service? Can the local health system continue the cost of staff, medicines, maintenance, and operations? Or is there a handover model? Is there a public, community-based, social enterprise, or blended financing model that can keep the service alive? Were the local health workers trained and empowered? Were vulnerable groups, indigenous people, refugees, women, children, or persons with disabilities considered in access to service and employment in the beginning? Were language, culture, affordability, and physical accessibility taken into account? And what happens to medical equipment, expired medicines, packaging, plastic waste, and medical waste after the project? So again, as you see, the issue is not the clinic itself. The issue is when a health project is designed only to deliver services during the funding period without considering continuity, inclusion, local ownership, environmental responsibility, and long-term system capacity. So a clinic is an output here. Sustained, inclusive, and locally supported access to healthcare is a sustainable value on the other side. So P5 impact analysis gives us a great lens. We can redesign the way we think about health projects and all. I mean, the health project here is just an metaphorical one for all of you. From a product perspective, in the P5 lens, we do not only ask whether the clinic was opened. We ask whether the health service can continue beyond the project period. And from process perspective, we look at how the project is delivered. Is there local ownership? Is there a handover plan? Are local authorities, community leaders, and health institutions involved from the beginning? And are procurement and supply chains responsible? From people, planet, prosperity, product, and process, and from the people perspective, we ask who benefits and who may be left behind. Are vulnerable groups considered? Are women, children, refugees, indigenous people able to access the service? And from a planet perspective, health projects also have environmental impacts. What happens to medical waste, expired medicines, single-use plastics, packaging, and old equipment? Is there a waste management plan? So all these P5 impact analysis and sustainability mindset gives us a great eyeglass to see everything in the project context from a very broad perspective. We also ask, can the community still access care after the project team has left? This does not reduce the importance of humanitarian health services. In emergencies, of course, saving lives comes first. But if we want sustainable impact, we must design health projects with continuity, inclusion, environmental responsibility, and local prosperity in mind from the beginning. So this is why sustainability approach gives us a very great tool to analyze projects from this perspective, even from the beginning, not at the end. So let me give another example, which maybe most of the people here would be familiar with. In many parts of the world, including parts of Africa, Asia, organizations and donors support water well projects with very sincere intentions, right? The motivation is noble and deeply human. People need water. They may walk long distances to access it. A donor funds a well so that a community can have water nearby. This is a very simple funding idea, and which is a very common one. From the traditional perspective, this may look like a successful project. The project manager may say, I received the funding, I drilled the required number of wells, we delivered them within the planned time, we stay within the budget, the wells are working, and people now have access to water. And in many ways, for sure, this is a valuable and meaningful output. But the sustainability question is deeper. What happens after the well is delivered? Who maintains it? Is there local capacity to repair it? Because you do some projects in the very remote areas, not in the business context, but in the humanitarian context or development context. You may work in the very remote part of the world. So these questions become very meaningful on those areas. And you may even do some businesses, and you should also think from this perspective as well. Is the groundwater source being monitored, which is very critical for climate change? Is the natural resources? Is the abstraction environmentally responsible? Does this project continue to a longer-term water service model, or does it only solve today's access problem? Does it create local jobs, technical capacity, and institutional ownership? So there is a very good output may still create sustainability risks. If we look from the just iron triangle perspective, we may deliver the outputs, but there are many points which we own risk. So through the P5 lens, we start asking different questions. Instead of only focusing on delivering a water point, we begin to look at the full system around it. For instance, from a people perspective in this water well scenario, we consider who benefits, who might be excluded, and whether the community has the capacity to operate and sustain the system. And from a planet perspective, which is very critical, we ask whether groundwater is protected and whether water extraction is environmentally sustainable. So the questions might be increased. That is where a good output may still create sustainability risks. So how could we redesign the same project through a sustainable mindset? In Lucila's presentation, she was also underlining this point. Most of us has an idea of sustainability, but also how to do it is another challenge for us. Imagine that in this case, just for brainstorming, imagine that every water well project includes a small sustainability contribution, for example, a fixed percentage of the project budget, dedicated to a shared regional water resilience mechanisms. This mechanism could be managed through a trusted partnership involving local authorities, NGOs, UN agencies, regulators, technical experts, and community representatives. The purpose would not be to stop urgent water access projects. People need water today. The purpose would be to connect short-term access with long-term resilience. Over time, this mechanism could support local maintenance systems, groundwater monitoring, capacity building for local contractors, transition planning towards more sustainable water networks, and stronger governance of water resources. So this is what P5 helps us do. It moves us from output thinking to impact thinking. A water well is an output, reliable, safe, locally managed and environmentally responsible water access is sustainable value. And this is the key point. Sometimes sustainability begins by changing only one indicator. Instead of only measuring the number of wells drilled in the project management office, we can also measure whether each water project contributes to long-term resilience, local capacity, and responsible resource management. So now the question actually becomes, I'm coming towards the end of my presentation. Now the question becomes more practical. How can we make projects more sustainable from the beginning? I mean, making it from the beginning, it's very critical, because if you infuse it to the, if you infuse the idea of sustainability into the design stage of project, it may change the outcomes, the outputs dramatically from a positive hindsight. This is where tools such as sustainability management plan becomes very useful. A sustainability management plan helps the project team think about sustainability intentionally, not as an afterthought. Another very useful tool is the GPM P5 impact analysis, which you can download it from their website freely. And Lucila has showed this impact analysis on her presentation as well. So this is a very powerful tool because it forces us to look at the project from multiple angles, like product, process, people, planet, and prosperity impacts. And what are the positive and negative impacts? Who are the stakeholders? What are the long-term risks, etc. And you can apply this tool to a lot of places. And this is the P5 impact analysis. Lucila was also showed in the presentation. You can download it from the GPM and PMI's websites. And let me.
Excuse me, Ahmet.
Yeah.
Could you conclude your
Sure.
presentation in a minute or so?
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
thank you.
I'm just passing to my last presentation, and you can think of systems, sustainable systems like this, renewable energy and agricultural integrated systems from the P5 lens, and from the water well perspective. If you do in a more sustainable way, you can do water supply design instead of just simple ones. And I'd like to leave you with the 5 practical questions. Lastly, these are not technical questions only for sustainability experts. They are questions every project leader can ask. First, what will remain after the project ends? Secondly, who gains capability, not only benefit? And thirdly, what risks are we creating unintentionally when we solely focus on the outputs? And fourth, how does this project affect people, planet, and prosperity? And fifth, can this model be owned, maintained, and scaled locally? So the real test is what remains after the project team has left. My friends here, Lucila and Alex, reminded us sustainability must be embedded into project leadership. And my message, lastly, today is sustainability becomes truly meaningful when it creates lasting value for people, communities, and local economies. And thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you very much, Ahmet. Over the last hour, we have explored sustainability through three complementary lenses: projects, business, and society. We have heard how sustainability can be embedded into project leadership, business models, and long-term development outcomes. We will now move to the audience Q&A session. I can see two questions to Lucila at the moment from the chat area. Lucila, are you with us?
Yes, I am here. Yes.
First is from Grigorios Diolatsis. Do you believe that incorporating a sustainability strategy into an organization could serve as a filter to exclude projects that would not provide added value to the organization, thus improving MPSS ratio?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think in order sustainability to be successful, it should be a compass for decision making. So we need to make our decisions based on the things that we want to achieve and protecting value for people, planet, and prosperity. So the struggle that we see these days in organization is because they fail in that system, in that delivery mechanism. So identifying sustainability and using it as that mindset on how we plan, execute, and measure our projects for sure help us to have stronger projects. And that probably is one of the hypotheses on why sustainability is the higher predictor of project success. Because if we plan the project and execute it in a sustainable way, we are thinking more holistically, and the chances to be successful are bigger. So back to the question, I think, yes, will help to have the value at the heart of every project that we want to address.
Thank you. Second question from Nikolaos Valatsos. PMI certifies project professionals through CSPP certification, while LEED certifies the sustainability performance of projects, mainly buildings from cradle to grave. Do you think PMI could develop a global sustainability certification for projects? This would help organizations demonstrate that a project was truly delivered in a sustainable way, not just that the project manager has sustainability knowledge.
Well, first, I appreciate a lot the question because it's also thinking one step forward. So it's a very committed person that I like that long-term vision. I think, as I said, we entered in this joint venture last year, and we have been working on having these resources, toolkits, the certification. So I think we have achieved a lot, and Eileen, you have been part of this journey. Of course, there is a lot more to do. So I think this could be a good suggestion. I think so far and for now, we have the Project of the Year award. So if you in the audience know that there are great projects that are being done in a sustainable way, a good starting point could be to nominate those as the Project of the Year achievement. So we can share those best practices, inspire others to follow that example. And probably in the future, we can have a certification or an accreditation. I think I wouldn't commit that it will happen the next year because we have a lot of things in the making. But I think it's a great idea on how we can also consider celebrating those success stories that can inspire this movement. And we all have a role to play to be championing and ambassadors of this transformation. And things change when we celebrate and recognize the people that do these things right. So my call to action for all of us to celebrate those projects that are doing it right for now. And then, of course, and from a PMI perspective, there are many things that we can do to grow the movement.
Yes, if there are no other questions to Lucila, I have one favorite question that I want. I like the answer to it. I've heard before from Lucila, I know. But I want her, please, to repeat again. What advice would you give to project professionals who want to champion sustainability but feel they don't have enough influence within their organizations?
Yeah, and I mean, since you have here, like, feel free also to build if I miss anything. But I think one of the things that in PMI we have been championing a lot is the vision for the profession. Probably you heard about the MORE framework that is essentially about managing the perceptions. So when it comes to sustainability, is like those power skills on how we manage the perceptions, how we communicate the value of sustainability, how we talk about sustainability in business terms, in the way that the business people understand that it's not the good thing to do, but it's also a business value. Then the ownership aspect, and we need to constantly reassess what we are doing. And when it comes to sustainability, is very critical. And for sure, the expansion of perspective for us. So moving beyond budget, scope, and schedule to really think about long-term value for people, for planet and prosperity, but also how we influence others to expand that perspective. So I think behavior change happens when we have the capability, and in PMI, we have now the resources, the methodology for you to learn, to acquire that skills, the certification for sure. It also happens when we have the motivation. I think if you are here, it's because you're motivated, you want to make a change, you want to make an impact, you want to leave your mark in your projects, in your organization. And then it's the opportunity. No, the third component, the opportunity to bring all these, the motivation and the capability to life. And every project, Elevate every project, is our opportunity to bring sustainability to life. And every conversation that we have with stakeholders, in how we present the information, in how we help them to understand the real value of sustainability, it is about having more successful projects, sustainability #1 predictor of project success, and having stronger organizations, more resilient organizations. So if you pull some of the key messages that we mentioned today, sustainability, the higher predictor of project success, resiliency, innovation, better risk management, there are a lot of things that you can connect back to the business imperative.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And now one question to Alex. Maniatos Vios. Thank you, Alexis. What are the opportunities to build circular economies around other waste byproducts, and whether your best practices are directly transferable to other sections?
This is a very good question. First of all, thank you everyone for these amazing presentations. I think all the aspects of sustainability and circular economy was named today. About the question of Vios, specifically for any type of process that produce organic waste, most of the processes that transform in the food industry production processes produce organic waste. Most of the organic waste can be utilized approximately with the same way we are utilizing spent coffee ground. Depends on the ingredients that we can produce or the byproducts and the fibers that can be produced. But in a general, yes, our technology and our production process and IP can be transferred in any other type of organic waste. In general, someone can see any type of manufacturing process in an equilibrium of input and output. You input raw materials, energy, and any other type of manufacturing, you output some products. If you see your manufacturing process as a weight volume equilibrium, you can calculate input and output. You can see the losses in the volume output equilibrium, and then understand what you can reutilize and upcycle in terms of waste. We try not to call it waste because it's not waste. Waste is a term that product manufacturing people had invented because they don't know how to utilize 100% the waste, but it's a byproduct. So in general, most of the byproducts can be utilized approximately with the same way in different marketed industries, of course.
Thank you, Alex. Haidar has a question. I think this is for Lucila. What is the position of AI in sustainability in near and in far future?
Yeah, well, thank you for the question. Very, very relevant topic. So both sustainability and AI are part of like the innovation areas of PMI and how project professionals need to think about the present and the future as well. And I will say in summary that we need to really integrate this effort. So as I said, sustainability is a knowledge area. It's about the mindset where and how we conduct projects. So that applies also for how we use AI in projects. And we need to use sustainability as a compass for decision making. If you are very interested, as part of our ecosystem, we have a thought leadership report around sustainability and AI, was released last year. So probably we need to keep updating that because everything changed so quickly. But essentially, one of the main insights is about the integration. We should not treat AI and sustainability as separate things. We need to really integrate and think that sustainability is that compass for decision making in terms of value for people, planet, and prosperity. So if we think about value, then we also need to make decisions that are related to how we prioritize that value as well in the AI transformation. But a lot of things are going to be researched and done in that space because, as you know, AI is becoming more and more important, and sustainability should be guiding also the long-term value for the people, for the planet, and for the prosperity of the world.
Thank you,
So
Wasila.
stay tuned, more to come.
Thank you. Evren's question is to Ahmet. Can a project management framework be effectively implemented in NGOs? I believe that having this kind of professional background can significantly contribute to strengthening the capacity of NGOs and enhancing their social impact. What kinds of values do you think such an approach could create?
Evren, project management framework can exactly be applied in NGOs. But NGOs are in the great transformation phase at the moment because the sector is changing. Michael Porter, the Harvard professor, written down an essay in Harvard Business Review. It's named Shared Value. So accordingly, and today it becomes more clear that the NGOs should change. I mean, it's my opinion, by the way, taking insights from the Michael Porter's essay as well. NGOs should change their working system. Maybe models like impact investment models might be good options for NGOs. So, I mean, related to your question, yes, project management framework can exactly be applied in NGOs, but from the other perspective, NGOs are at the very transformational era, and they should look for more sustainable and innovative ways to survive, to sustain, and to serve. Maybe coming together or shoulder to shoulder with the private sector might be helpful for the sector.
Thank you, Ahmet. I think Gregorio's question is for Ahmet. Ideally, shouldn't the transition be part of the project? There is no point in creating a product that the community it's intended for can't make use of. Am I right, Gregorios? It's for Ahmet.
Is it for me or Gregorios? Can you please reframe your question?
Gregorios.
If Gregorios hears us.
Gregorios may reach you after the webinar, maybe.
Sure.
Okay. And I don't see any other questions. As we come to the end of today's session, I would like to thank our speakers, Lucida Dotto, Alex Pantsiaros, and Ahmet Çevik for sharing their valuable insights and experiences. Today's discussion demonstrated that sustainability is not only about compliance, reporting, or meeting requirements. It is about creating value through projects, value through business innovation, and value through positive societal impact. Perhaps the most important message from today's webinar is that sustainability becomes meaningful when it is translated into decisions, actions, and outcomes that continue to create value long after a project has been completed. I would also like to highlight that today's event is particularly special as it is the first joint webinar organized by PMI Greece chapter and PMI Turkey chapter dedicated specifically to sustainable project management. This collaboration reflects a growing recognition that sustainability is no longer a niche topic. It is becoming an essential capability for project professionals, organizations, and leaders around the world. As the sustainability agenda continues to evolve, we believe that sustainable project management will play an increasingly important role in helping organizations transform ambition into measurable outcomes and long-term value. Today's webinar is only a beginning. PMI Greece and PMI Turkey are committed to continuing this conversation through future webinars, knowledge-sharing initiatives, and collaborative activities focused on sustainability and project leadership. We warmly invite all of you to stay connected with both chapters and join us in future events as we continue exploring how projects can contribute to a more sustainable future. On behalf of PMI Turkey chapter and PMI Greece chapter, thank you for joining us today. We hope the ideas shared during this session will inspire you to embed sustainability more deeply into your projects, organizations, and communities. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to seeing you again at future PMI events. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye, you.